Okay, for this problem, we're gonna graph a parabola. So the problem is y equals negative 2x squared minus 12x minus 5. Um, the first thing you want to ask yourself is a set of questions. First question you probably need to ask yourself is, does the parabola hold or dump water? And what I mean by that is the when you graph the parabola, is it going to be upwards like a U, kind of like that, or is it going to be downwards, almost like an N, like that? Um, so here I have the problem written, and I'm just going to put off to the side that the problem or the parabola dumps water. The reason I know that is because the first coefficient in the problem is negative. Had it been positive, um, it would have had a U shape instead of an N shape. So we answered the first question, whether it holds or dumps water. Another question you might ask yourself is, well, what is the y-intercept? So we're going to write that down, y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, what we need to do is make x equal to 0. So anytime we see x in this problem, we need to substitute it for 0, and that will give us the y-intercept. So it should read now for the y-intercept, y equals negative 2 times 0 squared minus 12 times 0 minus 5. Just like that. And really after that, it becomes a very simple task because anything times 0 is 0. So negative 2 times 0 squared is 0. Times negative 12 times 0 is 0 still. And minus 5 will give you negative 5. So the y-intercept is equal to negative 5. I'm going to circle it, but we still have plenty of work to do if we want to graph this parabola. So we have the y-intercept. A good idea now would be to get the x-intercept. What you want to do here is do the opposite. You want to make y equal to 0 this time. And I'm just going to write it here. X-intercept, make y equal to 0. Plug in 0 for any time you see y, and you should get the x-intercept. So it reads this way. 0 equals negative 2x squared minus 12x minus 5. This may look familiar. It kind of just looks like another equation at this point. And so the best method here would be the quadratic formula. And again, like previously, we're using the quadratic formula because it's a simple and straight way to plug all the information we have in. So the first coefficient, negative 2, that's going to be labeled as A. Our second coefficient, negative 12, be labeled as B. And our third and last number in the problem, negative 5, we label it as C. Just like that. And now we're going to plug in all our information to the quadratic formula. So, it should read this way now. Negative 1 times negative 12 plus or minus square root of negative 12 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times negative 5, and all of that over 2 times negative 2. Should be written this way. Now what we want to do is really just simplify. So negative 1 times negative 12 gives you 12 plus or minus square root. Make your square root sign, and then negative 12 squared will give you 144. And you're subtracting that by negative 4 times negative 2 times negative 5, and all of that multiplied together gives you 104. And that is all divided by 2 times negative 2, and that is negative 4. So it now should be written like such. So we have some simplifying to do now. What we need to do is write it as 12 plus or minus 100 and the square root of 104 over negative 4. So now that we have it this way, we want to give ourselves easy numbers to work with inside of the square root. What I mean by that is the square root of there's not a direct square root of 104, but we can break it down and make it easier for ourselves. So we're going to use 26 and 4. So we're going to read it now as 12 plus or minus the square root of 26 times 4, and all of that over negative 4. Written like this. We now want to take the 4 out of the square root because the square root of 4 is 2. So you can write the simplified version now as 12 plus or minus 2 root 26 over negative 4. Just like that. And now we're going to divide everything by negative 4. All the terms in the simplified version we have so far. And that gives you 3 plus or minus 1 root 26 over negative 2. We're going to circle that because that is our simplified x-intercept. So we answered almost everything we need to answer, but now we need to get our vertex and our coordinates. Okay. And to do that now, we need to use the formula for the vertex. So to find our vertex, the formula you want to use is the first part of the quadratic formula. So negative b over 2a is what we want to use right here. And if you remember from earlier, we already labeled our a's, b's, and c's, so we just plug them straight into the vertex formula. So to find our x-coordinate, we do negative 1 times negative 12 over 2 times negative 2. And that would give us 12 over negative 4, and 12 divided by negative 4 gives you negative 3. That's our x-coordinate. Right there. And so now that we have our x-coordinate, we should just plug that x-coordinate into the original equation, and that will give us our y-coordinate. So it goes like this. Y equals negative 2 times negative 3 squared minus 12 times negative 3 minus 5. And then we just need to simplify this. So I have it written here. Just need to solve for y. So y equals negative 2, and and negative 3 squared is just 9, so negative 2 times 9. Minus 12 times negative 3, so a negative times a negative brings you a positive. And 12 times 3 is 36. And then minus 5. Just like this. Now we just need to solve. So y equals negative 18 plus 36 minus 5. So y equals 18 minus 5. 18 minus 5 is 13. Circle it, and that's your y coordinate. We're going to write it just like that. So again, y equals negative 18 plus 36 minus 5. Y coordinate is 13. So now that we have our x coordinate and our y coordinate, we have our vertex. First part of our vertex is the x value, and that's negative 3. And then or not a value, it's a point actually, because we're going to graph it. So our first point on the vertex is negative 3, and our second point on the vertex is positive 13. You're going to write it as such. So now let me just get another piece of paper, and we're going to graph it. Make a line. It's a vertical axis. This is a horizontal axis. This is y. This is x. Just like this. If you can see it, let me hold it up. So we have our y, our x, and it's just a regular graph. We're going to start labeling some points. So 1, 2, 3. Hopefully these are enough. They're not. But it's okay. 1. I'm just going to put up here as 13. This is negative 1. Okay. So I have it labeled. So we find our vertex. That's probably the first thing we want to plot on our graph. So it was negative 3, comma 13. And I'll just put a label over it. So an X and a Y. So what we want to do is go over to the left 3 and go up 13. And that's our vertex. And it makes sense because in the beginning we said it dumped water. So our vertex probably is going to be high because the other part of the parabola is going to go down. So now we need to graph or plot our intercepts. So our first intercept was the y-intercept that we found, and we made x equal to 0. So it's not going to go left or right because that's on the x-axis. And then the y-intercept was negative 5. So we graph that just like that, where I have the point down here. I'm going to bubble it in a little bit more so you can see. But there you go. And then while the other intercept is this 3 plus or minus what is it? 1 root 26 over negative 2. We just want to find something that's in the middle and makes sense. So on the other side. What I mean by that is it mirrors what we have on one side. So if it's -5 over here, if it's 0, -5 over here, we're going to make the other side -5, -5. And again, the reason we're doing this is so that it mirrors the first half of the parabola. And we're going to graph it. Just draw our lines. Like an arrow going down. And finally, it should look like that.